Welcome back to Mwera around Britain, and this is episode 6, where I leave my last stop in Scotland and pass via Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man to North Wales. I must admit the change in accents along this part of the route was quite confusing, and I also had some excitement of some strong tidal streams, particularly around Rathlin Island and then entering the Irish Sea through the North Channel. I quite enjoyed this animated tidal stream map of the streams around Rathlin Island, and I aimed to get to the northwest corner at Slackwater and then hoped to catch a little eddy into the harbour in the corner there, but that didn't quite work out. I found Rathlin Island pleasant, if a bit quirky, and decided to head on the next day down the North Channel towards Belfast Lough, heading for Bangor, where I had some friends to meet up with. Morning all, it's been a while since I gave you some sailing action. It's about 5 in the morning and I've just come out of the Church Bay, Rathlin Island, just looking towards Brew Point there, the Southern Lighthouse. Just coming up in front of me. That's looking south to Fairhead, between me and Fairhead there, which is on the island. Up to see it, but that's where the Stopover or tidal race is, which is still a bit choppy. I'm going to be going past where the North Rise. This image of taken from my tracker is quite interesting because I was basically going into the wind, tacking down the North Channel here along the coast, but with the strength of the tidal stream that was with me, my usual tacking angle of about 100 degrees was completely straightened out, and I made good progress. The wind died and the tide turned against me as I went further south past Larne towards Belfast Lough, but I decided to continue on with the motor, and when I got into Belfast Lough a nice breeze got up again and I had a good fetch across. Initially I anchored in Ballyholme Bay and then the next day moved into Bangor harbour for a couple of nights. Apart from the usual harbour activities of showers and washing and provisioning, I also went and got a piece of dowling from a B&Q or somewhere to make a little stop for the mast track, because my boom kept on falling out and then the whole sail coming off the mast. This little video shows me making one out of plastic later in the year once I'd got back to base. After Bangor I was heading for Peel on the Isle of Man, and the winds initially were more westerly and then turning southerly during the time I'd be on passage. So I left Belfast Lough, came inside the islands and tried to hug the coast as much as possible to stay west, and waiting for the wind to go from more sort of southwesterly to southerly. And then as I came into Peel Harbour, I had to motor the last 90 minutes or so heading in as the wind turned against tide and got quite rough and wet. And it was a real relief to come into the shelter of Peel Harbour and pick up a visitor's mooring. I had to admire the flag protocol on this French boat with his country flag on the stern and then 2 courtesy flags on the starboard spreader. Very properly done. I entered Peel Harbour the next morning when the gate opened. This marked my halfway point on the trip, having done about 1,000 miles and plus minus 6 weeks of sailing, and I took the opportunity to have a few days rest, and my wife came over on the ferry from Liverpool and joined me on the boat, so we had some fun exploring the island together. Had a lovely time there. I took the opportunity to fit a new anchor light. My previous one was knocked off the mast in Loch Torridon by one of the hallies that got caught around the back of it, and I managed to get a second-hand one through a Facebook group, and so popped up the mast to fit that whilst I was in harbour. My last passage on this section is another 57 miles across to Holyhead, another long passage, and I left at the end of the day and went round the southern end of the Isle of Man and then just headed across to Holyhead, coming into the harbour about 9 o'clock in the morning. And you come inside this long, 1.25 mile long breakwater to a big area which looks very sheltered. But unfortunately the marina was devastated by a storm in 2018, I think it was Storm Emma, which overnight destroyed nearly all the pontoons and sunk over 80 boats. It was a real disaster, and the marina's recovered well, and I had a good stop there. I always chuckle at this photo of Mwera against the pontoon because it shows that a corrobee is one of the few boats where you step down from the pontoon into the boat instead of stepping up onto the deck. This brings me to the end of this episode, and my next one finds me doing my third passage of over 100 miles down across Cardigan Bay and through Ramsey Sound into the river harbour of Solva. Bye for now.